Hypnotic is talking about the government is now backing PlayStation, and nobody saw this coming. No, not a single one of us. Yeah, I don't know what this is about. The government is now backing PlayStation. I mean, it kind of makes sense. All these corporate freaks, they're in the government. They're in every corporation. All of the big ones, at least. Because nobody real wants to work for these corporations or the government. They already gave up on that. So let's see what happened, man. How is PlayStation working with the government now?
Or for every single...
Boys, we got to talk about PlayStation. I know,
yeah,
I know. Every single one of you, this is what you're here for. This is what you want.
Yo, I'm here for it, man. I love watching them suffer.
Right, when you're here watching these videos and you're here watching the live streams, you're excited for this. But anyway, no, seriously, we got to talk about PlayStation. Because the interesting part of the conversation had to do with the EU. Like, how is it going to happen over the pond, right? Also in Japan, too. Like, how is the lack of physical media going to be treated in other countries? Because we kind of already know how the Western game...
Yeah, I know how it's going to be treated. Yo ho, a pirate's life for me.
Countries, because we kind of already know how the Western gaming industry, mainly here, right, in the US, like how we're going to look at the lack of physical media and how there's a lot of corporate dick eaters that are just so excited and cannot wait to just give Sony all the money in the world and not have to worry about, you know, paying for their video games on sale.
And guess what? It's about to get so much worse as everything crashes all around us and people finally listen and jump on board to what we're saying, what we've been saying. The people left on the other side are going to crash out and lie and manipulate even harder. And you know what, honestly, I'm kind of here for it.
You know, they can't wait to, you know, pay full price. Like there's so many of them here on social media. They're just super desperate to just convince Sony that they love them so much. But a lot of people were questioning what's going to happen in the EU, what's going to happen in UK, what's going to happen in Japan, what's going to happen in other places, right? Because Japan is major on physical media, bigger than anywhere else for the most part. Their numbers are skewed in the opposite direction to favor physical media by a large margin, especially if you're...
Yeah, but that doesn't matter to the globalist elites that are at the top of all these corporations.
Playing on Nintendo, it's even bigger over there. But apparently, according to the commissioner, he says that the EU cannot stop Sony from ending physical video games. According to this article from Games Radar,
shit.
Companies
the
are
EU
free
is
to offer
incompetent as
games
fuck.
and services in the manner that they see.
And they have less money than the corporations that are pushing all this shit. Because let me tell you, it ain't just Sony that's pushing this. It's all the payment processors. It's all of the international investors. It's not just Sony. Everybody wants this shit because they're going to make more money off of it.
See fit. Now, I find this all to be extremely interesting. I do. Because Stop Killing Games is a thing, right? It's a thing that's been happening for a while now. It ended up getting, you know, essentially talked about at the parliament. And looking at this, I find this to be so curious because the conversation...
I'm glad that it's getting struck down. Either they give us what we want or we take it.
Around this really is starting to go in the direction of like this is collaborated in a way. And I know there's going to be people out there, they're going to say, yes, obviously it's collaborated, it's all connected and all that. Yeah, I get that. But it's one thing to like say it, it's another thing to start seeing it. And this is really making me start to see it. Not only that, it really just shows that in terms of digital rights, we are so far behind, it's not even funny. And I know I've said this many times.
Oh, we've got our digital rights. If we all band together and just unconventionally acquire everything, what are they going to do?
But this is just more proof that we are way too far behind with digital rights. Because why are we at this point where these companies can just sell you something and use permanent wording like buy now or buy here or buy on sale or buy? Why are they allowed still in 2026 to use this permanent language when you're not actually buying anything? You're not actually owning anything. And they're going to get around that or try to get around that.
Because they own everything.
By saying, well, technically you are buying something. You're buying the license. But the thing is, when you use the word buy, it has that inherent for a long time now. We're talking decades upon decades upon decades. Whenever somebody said, hey, you want to buy this? It was basically, do you want to own this? Now, if you say, hey, you want to buy...
No, I knew the whole time what the deal was. And I've been calling for DRM-free files that I could do whatever the fuck I want with, like on GLG. I've been doing this for years. I've been saying it for years. That's what I want with everything. I want to be able to. So I had an idea actually. Like, what if we could plug our PlayStation up to a PC and play our games through PC with a PlayStation? Not like play our games on the PC exactly, but like almost use the PC hardware to boost the PlayStation games, and also be able to just move the files from the PlayStation to the PC, but you won't be able to play them without plugging the PlayStation up. I mean, that could work. I don't want that, but that's a way that it could work. And I think that'd be just badass. Oh, we can't do that, Fables. Yes, we fucking can. The only reason we can't is because there are people that are making money who say we can't do that.
Buy this. Now it's like, well, hey, do you want to rent this? And that's really the biggest problem. So the wording is a big issue, and I'm really surprised that the EU is saying this. So we're gonna go over this. We're gonna go over that, and we're gonna go over the the main PlayStation account, which is continuing to get completely destroyed by community notes. We got some interesting ones that we're gonna go over today. So let's go over it, man. So following last week's announcement that the PlayStation will cease production on physical games, collectors, game preservationists, and even activists have been rallying to slow the inevitable, with some going as far as to call on authorities to put a stop to
This is what the fucking leftoid activists should have been on the whole time. Instead of pushing a gay agenda, they should have been seeing all this shit coming, because we've been saying it, and they've been denying it, calling us fucking incels and racists. It's just like, bro, it's all fake. They're pushing this gay agenda to trick you so they can do shit like this.
Sony's decision. One thing I'm going to say real quick is that I do find it interesting that there's a couple of sides to the coin here, right? There are the people that are actively fighting against this, right? There are the people that are actively saying they want this, which is fine. You're allowed to have two sides of the coin. And then there are people out there that are saying that it sucks, but then they're also saying, well, there's nothing you can do about it because Sony's a massive company, and you should just basically, stop looking like a fool and just take it. So it's like they want to fight, but they're too scared to fight. So then they make...
No, they're too lazy. That's really it. They're lazy as fuck. And they have FOMO. They don't want to not play their gay game.
They project onto you and they make fun of the people who are out there fighting. Or at the very least, guys, I just want to reiterate, this is not necessarily about boycotting in a way, like from the standard sense, because PlayStation is huge, right? PlayStation is massive. Like I say many times on the stream, for me, it's about spreading the information so that more people wake up and realize that they have options. Because truthfully, a lot of people that are playing on consoles, there is a certain mindset by that console gamer, and I know there is because I know like actual hardcore console gamers in real life. There's a certain mindset that they have about PC gaming and how it's essentially inaccessible. They view it as something that is unattainable because they view it as something that's potentially very expensive.
Yeah, they're retarded. They think that that PC gaming is expensive because they're looking for something that's better than the console that they got, and they don't realize that the console they got is unnecessary.
Because they start thinking about like hardcore gaming computers. They don't realize that there's actually affordable PCs out there that are really not that much more expensive, and then weighing the pros and cons between getting a little bit more of an expensive PC.
And you don't even got to do that. You can get something that's underpowered compared to the consoles, because most people don't play the top games anyway. Like, you might play a game when it comes out, sure, but to be honest, most of the games you play are underpowered.
To get on PC gaming versus staying in.
Obviously, there's going to be some people out there who play just the biggest, best games, but most people don't do that. You can see it. You can see the numbers. They don't lie.
In a cheaper box where it has a closed-off ecosystem that you're going to pay more for video games, and you're going to have to pay to play online, which starts to add up over time to the point where it's more expensive than PC gaming, But people don't think like that. One thing about customers is they never really think on a large scale. They tend to think more tight. Like, they tend to think smaller scale, smaller scope. And the more you could make that information accessible on a smaller scope, the higher chance that they're going to have to realize the options that are before them. At least that's how I see things, right? So, but in any case, when it comes to PlayStation, for me, it's about just informing people and just letting them know they have options. That's really it, because you may know you have options. I know there's a lot of people that comment on my videos and comment on my live streams telling me what they're doing. If I were to search my videos and see the hundreds of comments of people saying that they're leaving the PlayStation platform and they've already started moving over to either PC or whatever, or Nintendo. I've seen some people saying they're going to Nintendo. Regardless, I'm getting hundreds, if not over.
Yeah, what are you going to do when they all fucking lock down everything like Sony's doing? Because they're all going to do it.
Thousands of comments now, all saying that. And I'm just one person. I'm not even that big of a YouTube channel. I'm just literally one person. So I can only imagine how many people are actually pissed about this.
Not
so
enough.
For me, I take that as a win. I'm not trying to take PlayStation down. I'm trying to help people realize they got options. That's really it.
I want to take PlayStation down. Everybody should move away from that platform and just let it fucking crumble.
But anyway, choice is an amazing thing, right? So PlayStation will cease production on physical game discs. We already know that, starting in 2028. And now we got to the point where the EU Commissioner for Democracy, Justice, the Rule of Law, and Consumer Protection, Michael McGrath, recently told reporters in Strasbourg's European Parliament that he doesn't think it's the government's job to get in the way of the free market so long as laws aren't being broken. Isn't that the key word there? Isn't that the key phrase there?
Yeah, the corporations are smarter than the lawmakers because the lawmakers don't know how these things work, and the corporations know this, and they have teams of people that are looking into how they can skirt the law, how they can do everything technically legal.
There, I should say. As long as laws aren't being broken, that is the problem, boys. That
Gotta
is
change the laws.
Literal problem, boys, is that digital rights and digital laws have been far outpaced by digital media. That's the issue. So yeah, of course, no.
So piracy is going to be who they're going to be competing with because they've destroyed all competition. They're all the same fucking company. Xbox, PlayStation, they're just the fucking same. They do the same shit. They pretend that they're different because they got different colors.
Laws are going to be broken, my guy, because no laws exist. That's what you don't get. How do you not understand that? I mean, realistically, though, I'm sure he does understand that. But, you know, maybe he benefits from it. I don't really know. But realistically,
they all do.
That's the entire point. Digital media has...
He's benefiting from just talking about it.
Far surpassed the rights of digital customers. It has completely far surpassed it. We're at the point now where we have seen such a evolution of what was initially digital media many years ago to what it is now. And that evolution has changed so much. It's honestly ridiculous. But the law system has barely changed.
I've said it a million times. That just means that more people are going to pirate. And more people are going to fall off of the shitty new games because the old games are just fucking better. And they're more accessible because they're fucking free. And you can play any game on PC. Any of them. Even PS5 games, they're working on emulators. They got them running. They got some games that are working.
It's barely changed. In that same exact time, which has been a very long time, the law system has barely changed in support of digital media rights. So these companies...
But Nintendo can go after all these companies that are trying to preserve their games.
Are trying to quickly make all these changes because they know the law system is extremely behind, and the faster they make these changes, the faster they can take advantage of the laws not being in place, so that way they can get in place what they want to get in place before there may be any potential law, because it's harder to enact a law once something's already in place.
And corporations have so much fucking money that they can just hand the government and hand people to manipulate the government into doing their bidding. And regular people, they just don't have that unless they come together. And people aren't coming together because they've been divided by these very corporations that are doing all of this shit by pushing this fake gay agenda.
With that being said, let's continue. It does come down to commercial and contractual freedoms, and companies are free to offer games and services in a manner they see fit, provided that consumer rights are fully protected in line with national and EU law, according to McGrath. Referring to last month's EU ruling against Stop Killing Games and the decision against recommending new legislation to prevent publishers from revoking access to online-only games, McGrath also added, "We did have to consider a European citizens initiative on this question of whether games should continue to be available after a new edition of the game has been brought forward. It seems that McGrath's view, the decision to stop producing a physical product being the manufacturer's choice, is a more clear-cut case."
If you lost access to a game like The Crew, for instance, and you got upset about it, but then you go on to buy that company's other games, and then you lose access to them. I don't feel bad for you. You fucking deserve it.
So all of this is tying together at the same time, which I find to be very, very interesting. You know, a lot of people were bringing up Stop Killing Games as one of the reasons why potentially PlayStation and other companies have decided to try to push an all-digital future faster than they probably would have. But I don't believe that. I think this has been in the cards for a very long time. I think
it's been over a decade they've been thinking about this shit.
I think this has been in the cards for many, many, many years prior to Stop Killing Games even being a thing, because Stop Killing Games became a thing after Ubisoft decided to take away the crew, and people got fed up and they decided to do something about it. And then before you know it, it eventually exploded to the point where, you know, it ended up going to Parliament. So, and now it's also in California as well. I mean, it's kind of everywhere at this point. So that battle's being fought on multiple different avenues, but we don't really have like a final conclusion to either of those yet. But Stop Killing Games, realistically, this is like, that's just kind of like a symptom of the overall problem that's been around for a very, very, very long time. From everything we've seen so far, it seems unlikely that Sony will reverse its stance on getting rid of physical games ahead of the next generation of consoles, which we already...
Anybody who thought that they were going to reverse that, I don't know, you're just completely brain dead, I guess.
You know that. So now we're going to go to PlayStation's actual page, because what they've been doing is they've been essentially trying to pretend like none of this is happening. Right, and we all said this was going to happen.
Which just makes it worse. Like, that's how you know these corporations are out of touch with real people, and they're just focused on their own bullshit agendas.
Talked about this yesterday. We're going to talk about it again today. They've been trying to pretend that literally none of this is happening, so they've been advertising their video games. And like I told you,
eventually people will forget that. That's the mindset that they have, because that's the way it's worked this whole time. But we've had a great economy when it comes to video games and entertainment thus far. And only recently has everything been crashing all around us. Everything's bad, and people are just getting more and more and more pissed off.
Told you guys, the more community notes that get on these advertisements, no matter how much they try to fight them, the better. Because every time it gets community noted, these advertisements, because that's what they are, they're advertisements, these advertisements will then inform people who see it, like this, for example. Sony's pushing an all-digital future without being upfront about its limits. PS5 downloads can't be played from USB. And expanding storage requires an expensive NVMe SSD. Digital games are licenses, not true ownership. Physical discs preserve choice, competition, and ownership. So every time something like this...
But I don't even really care about physical discs. I want the DRM-free files, damn it.
This actually happens, we just get to a point where more and more people are going to be informed. And that's honestly, that's the best thing. Because I can't rely on the legal process. The legal process is too slow. Exactly, chat. The legal process is way too slow. If you start waiting for the legal process, you'll be there forever. By the time we get a...
So let's just work on trying to preserve the games ourselves instead, because obviously trying to work with the law isn't fucking working.
Law that even remotely resembles anything related to Stop Killing Games, they would have already made 10 more moves to protect themselves and to allow them to continue doing what they're doing.
Yeah, okay, so I say we just let them.
They've been prepping for this for a very, very long time.
We'll work on other shit.
This is not something that just sprung up at a meeting, 60 days ago at PlayStation headquarters. This is something that they've been talking about since probably around the PlayStation 4, if I had to be real. It's probably been around the PlayStation 4.
I bet they had plans to do this before Xbox made the announcement, and that's why Xbox had to get out in front of it to announce the all-digital future, and then everybody shit all over them, so they were like, shut up, fuck, quick, change everything. That's why PS4 was still technically digital. The discs were meaningless, because the updates, patches, and everything, DLC was not on disc in most cases. Sometimes it was, and people fucking hate that whenever there's DLC on disc and then you lock them out of it.
Right? So, again, realistically, guys, like we said yesterday, the people that control PlayStation are ball and gun players. I mean, look, guys, they know exactly what they're advertising to.
And none of them actually play games. None of them actually consume the entertainment that they, in quotes, create. And they call us all consumers because they expect us just to buy their slop. We are not consumers, we are customers. And you have to try and be on your best behavior. You gotta get us to buy your shit. If you're pissing us all off, it makes us not want to buy your shit. Good luck.
Look at what the headline is for PlayStation's main account. Of course, it's college football 20. Like, they know, bro. They know.
And people are mad at this game right now because it has in-game ads.
Their player base.
Fucking
and I'm not going
insane.
to pretend like they're stupid. They know their player base. They know who they're banking on. And they're hoping that there's enough of those people to carry them through while they screw over everybody else that has been enjoying a physical PlayStation disc for decades now.
And I think they're just waiting on Xbox and Nintendo to jump on board.
For decades. Like, they know who their players are. And they're hoping to take advantage of them. Because, to be honest with you, they already do. They already do. They take advantage of people that play these sports games, that play these 2K games. Because we look... Guys, do you not remember the story about the PlayStation 5 gamer who was playing NBA 2K and he spent $30-something thousand in like
Why?
3 months on the game?
Why?
It was like $35,000 to $38,000 in just a few months on a game that's going to have a new version in the next year with the same exact content with some very slight changes, and they're going to sell it to you again. You know what I mean? Like, they know that they are banking on those people. They want those people to be around. Those are the people that I don't even want to say if they even know they're in an ecosystem like that, but realistically, I think they do. I think they absolutely do know, right? And guys, we've already said this before. When it comes to like Grand Theft Auto, for example, we've talked about how there was numbers that were leaked for Grand Theft Auto Online.
I think that extra purchases in video games should probably be illegal. You know, I think that games should just be games. Like, imagine when we start putting microtransactions inside of movies. Oh, you've got enough credits to skip this ad. Once you run out of credits, you got to buy more, or you got to watch more ads. It's coming.
Not that long ago, and Grand Theft Auto Online for PlayStation makes up like 94% of the revenue. PlayStation players were spending millions upon millions upon millions of dollars playing Grand Theft Auto Online, and Xbox and PC players were spending like hundreds of thousands. That's it. It was such a drastic difference. It's not even funny, dude. You know, I'm talking about monthly spend. PlayStation monthly spend was at like $4 million. PC was at like 800,000. Actually, I think PlayStation was more than that. So their ecosystem is basically the opposite of Xbox, where Xbox players were trained not to buy video games with Game Pass. PlayStation users were trained to just keep buying nonstop. Buy nonstop. That's what they've been trained to do.
I think a lot of them are doing that, who are just PlayStation fanboys, but I don't think there's enough of those people to actually keep them afloat. I think realistically, all of the normies who have a PlayStation who just ended up getting the PlayStation because that's what they got, once they all fall off, they're going to have a real hard time. I think we're going to see a situation similar to what's happening with the Xbox right now. It's going to be happening to PlayStation very, very soon. I think that's probably why they implemented this whole physical disc thing, because they're trying to cut costs, they're trying to save money immediately so they can prevent a catastrophe as big as Xbox's.
Buy it full price, keep buying it full price for as much as possible, and if we do sell you a game on sale, you're not even going to know if you got the best price, because now we do variable pricing, so we might charge you $40, and Joe Schmo might get it for $30, but hey, at least you're a good old happy Sony boy.
You guys like new games? You like new games? How about another sequel? How about a sequel that should just be a different game, but we're gonna slap some memorable characters in it and a memorable name like God of War onto a game, just so we can make something, justify spending a bunch of money on it, and actually have people play it and buy it, spend money on it. It's fucking gross. Oh, we have entered the next generation. Do you want another version of The Last of Us? We remastered it again. I guarantee you they're gonna do it again. When the PS6 comes out, they're gonna have The Last of Us new remastered version, and they're probably gonna charge full price for it, or near full price, like $50-$60.
You know, at least you get to enjoy the idea that you thought you bought something on sale. You know, that's really what it is, man. So realistically, they know their players. They know their players through and through, and they're not gonna change, man. So all I can say is
they will once they don't have enough money to actually spend on this shit because, yeah, you got the whales, but not everybody's a whale. They can't count on just the whales. They got to get the normies and the people who just spend a little bit too much money. Not the people who spend $30,000, but like, you know, the people who spend $200 on microtransactions without realizing that they're doing that.
Is that I think people should change their wording. I understand people wanting to use the word boycott because it sounds stronger, but realistically, it should just be a walkaway movement. That's really what it is. Not a boycott movement. It should be a walkaway movement. You got to decide.
I walked away years ago, but I walked away from all of these corporate games. And like, I moved to Steam, which is also a corporation, because I don't hate corporations. I just hate these bullshit corporations. And once Steam starts getting shitified, then I'm just going to be fully on board with GOG. Once GOG gets shitified, then I guess I'm just going to have to fucking pirate everything. Because right now, I only unconventionally acquire the console games, usually the older generations. I buy all my PC games still.
For yourself whether or not if you want to boycott Sony, because boycott implies if they give you what you want, you're going to go back. At this point, they've basically said fuck you so many times that it shouldn't be a...
Yeah, I don't care to miss out on some of these games. Fuck them.
It shouldn't be a boycott.
They're not making anything I want to play anyway.
It should be a walkaway. That's really what it is. It should be a complete walkaway. So if you want to walk away from Sony, you're more than welcome to. If you don't, you're also more than welcome to. But that's realistically what it should be. Especially when you have governmental agencies essentially confirming that they're, on Sony's side. They're not going to do anything. The EU is not going to do anything. The US is not going to do anything. This is not something that's going to be solved governmentally.
Yep.
This is something that's going to be forced or solved by the hands of people that actually pay these people. So if you're going to walk away, now's your time, or you stay with PlayStation and you have at it. That's basically it. That's kind of how it's going to go.
Moving on!